A very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Techgig webinar series. The topic for today's session is intelligent uses of Google Analytics for digital advertising. And we have with us today Mr. Ravi Pathak. He is the CEO of Techgig. Ravi is a veteran in web analytics. He has worked intensively on Omniture Google Analytics in order to help clients generate value out of the web analytics data. Considering how much we talk about data analytics and Google Analytics or digital marketing, so on and so forth, I think today's session is going to really highlight some of the major discussion points. I'm just going to touch upon some of the key questions or key pointers that Ravi will touch upon today. He'll talk about ROI, understanding of digital advertising, campaign tracking and its general errors, use of new Google Analytics reports, then remarketing, campaign tracking, etc. Ravi is going to divide his session into probably 2 or 3 parts, and we are going to welcome questions right from the very beginning. So request all the attendees to start sharing questions with me so that I can share the relevant ones with Ravi in between the session. Also, we will open up for an extensive Q&A session at the end, probably for 15 or 20 odd minutes, depending on how much time we have. We will also run a couple of polls during the session just to keep the session lively. In case if there is any problem in terms of connection or otherwise, I request all the attendees to mark me a message in the chat window so that I can do the needful immediately. So without any further delay, now I hand over the session to Ravi. Ravi, I am now giving you the presenters, right?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining this webinar and having me here. As I understand, most of you would probably been exposed to Google Analytics at one or other point of time. I thought I'll just briefly discuss what am I going to talk? I mean, is it really valuable? Is it really important to you, or is it just as available in the headline? But I'm going to talk briefly about Google Analytics, the newer things that is coming up with the Google Analytics, some of the tool sets that you may have heard about it, but you don't know extensively, or you may not have even heard about it. I'm also going to talk about, in the second part, of a brief overview of digital analytics funnel. The fundamental way to look at it, it's just a perspective that you should understand to look at Google Analytics and digital analytics in general, because Google Analytics being a tool or a platform, it provides you data, but if you don't understand it in a perspective, then you probably are not in a position to generate any insight out of it. And in the last part, I'm going to talk about few use cases sort of employed in your respective organizations to eventually improve either your tracking or improve the data collection or generate better data out of it to make your team, the salespeople and your CEO happy. So that's broadly third. Before I actually start talking about, can we actually do a poll? Shri, if we can launch the first poll to understand how much people actually use Google Analytics.
Sure.
I think that will be a good point to start.
Yeah, I think the first poll question would be a good point to start. Correct. I'm just going to launch the first poll question. The question will appear right up on the screen along with all the multiple choice answers. So I'm going to keep the poll open maybe for next 10 odd seconds and close it right after that.
Yeah, sure, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Will you be showing the results of the poll right away, or maybe at later stages?
I could share the response right away if you want, or we could hold it back till the very end, whichever way you want to take it.
yeah, I think if you can just show it right away, that'll be really awesome.
Okay, great. So I'm going to close the poll right now. And okay, so 61% say once in a week, 21% 3 to 5 times a week, and 21% says every day.
Wow, that's awesome. All
Yeah.
right, so we have at least 20% life depends upon Google Analytics, day in and day out of Google Analytics. Yeah, my special thanks to those of you who are actually joining, and I hope you generate a value out of it. Okay, so let me just jump on to really quick. First thing, what do you think Google Analytics is? I mean, is it a tool? Is it a product? It's a mechanism. But based on the recent changes that has happened, I can tell you that it has become a protocol that helps you track your users' interaction with the interface that you have. Now, if you look at it, why am I saying it as a protocol? It can track the web behavior, so whatever web exposure your users have, Google Analytics can track that. It can track the mobile apps that you may have built and how people are using the apps and the games and the interactions of different types of interactions. It can also track the apps on the smart TVs. So if you are building apps on a smart TV, Google Analytics Universal Analytics Protocol is in a position to track all these things. Now, this is just a few ideas that I have sort of shared, and it's actually possible. But in addition to that, you can also configure Google Analytics in a certain way where sort of a combination with an IP camera, you can also track the retail interaction of your retail stores as well.
Ravi?
And
Yeah, Ravi, I'm sorry to interrupt. I think we are facing some connectivity issue because your voice is dropping in between quite a lot. Yeah, so if you could
okay.
check your connection real quick.
Sure.
There's also quite a lag when you're changing your slides.
Okay. Let me shut down. Eating up. Yep. I'm hoping that but if you continue to feel the lag in the internet connection, I can just switch to a different connection. Would that be okay?
Yeah, would you take a while to shift, if at all you need to?
No, I
Because tell
think
you what, whichever
that should be.
connection you were using yesterday, I think that was much better during the dry run that we had a small chat yesterday. So maybe if you
Uh,
could go back to that connection if you're not already on that.
okay. Sure. Yeah, I've just shifted.
All right. Okay, so maybe let's monitor it for the next couple of minutes and see how it goes.
Sure. I was saying that with newer version of analytics, you can actually track any interactions. It has become a protocol and not just a tool or a product that helps you track. A lot of us see, I mean, of us at least see every day, and some of us see on a weekly basis. And the amount of data, the complexity that it has, it just sort of
Um,
uh, uh,
Ravi, no, I don't think there has been any improvement. I can still see a lot of connectivity issue. Your voice is
I can just
dropping.
dial in a minute.
Yeah.
I can just dial in.
Yeah, yeah. Why don't you do that?
Sri, are you there?
I'm here.
Oh, okay. No, I think now I can dial in directly into the webinar phone number, or I can
Yeah,
just
you
continue.
you could just.
I do see that.
Okay, I can't hear you again. So what I would request you, Ravi, why don't you dial in from your landline by using the toll-free number that I have given you?
Sure, I'll do that right away. Thanks
All
a lot.
right. Okay. And in the meanwhile, I request all the attendees to be patient and extremely sorry for this inconvenience. Let me know once you are connected, Ravi.
Yep, I'm there.
Okay, awesome. Just make sure that you disable your microphone,
Sure.
and also on the control panel in the audio section, if you could click on telephone. Check mark the telephone option instead of
Yep.
microphone and speakers. All right. You can carry on with your presentation now then.
Sure. Yeah, I think I. Okay, great. So, all right. So this is what we feel: lost in number of data, lost in different reports, and lost in the different available information. But eventually, we all have to navigate through this ocean of data that we have. Uh, we do have a lot of data points available, and we need to find a way out of it. I mean, there's data on source, medium, traffic, acquisition, engagement, but eventually we have to find a way to generate actionable insight out of it. We have to navigate through is what my point is. And to navigate through, these are certain tools that I briefly wanted to mention. And one of them is Google Tag Manager. I don't know if you heard about it, but Google Tag Manager is the most effective tool which you can use in conjunction with Google Analytics to improve your tagging mechanism or improve the way you actually collect the information. I'm going to touch base on Google Tag Manager at the later stages, but if you do have a specific pointers or question, please feel free to send out your question. The second thing is Google Analytics Premium, which is a recent offering from Google Analytics, where if you are hitting a lot of sampling limits, and if you're seeing a lot of pages, you can actually
use Google Analytics Premium to unsample your data and get the actual visitors data. This is only applicable to those websites which has a lot of numbers, lot of data points that is being extracted, and a lot of customizations as well. For normal users, this may not be actually very relevant.
Ravi, I'm sorry once again. If you could please keep your mouthpiece very close because your voice is coming very softly.
Oh, okay.
Extremely sorry, but we are getting a lot of messages from the attendees that your voice is low.
Is this any good?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just hoping that this is good.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, the third thing that I mentioned is Google App Analytics or mobile app analytics, where there is an SDK, software development kit, available for the developers who can actually track all the interaction that happen with mobile apps. If you're into building of mobile apps, or if your company has a mobile app that needs to understand how users are interacting with the app. There is a Digital Analytics Academy which you can make use of, where the experts across the globe are sharing their knowledge and tips and tricks on how you can use the analytics in a most efficient manner. I highly recommend everyone amongst the audience to go through some of the courses that are available in Digital Analytics Academy. If you need to get the link of Digital Analytics Academy, you can just search Digital Analytics Academy in Google, or just share your question with me, and I'll be happy to provide the link. And the last but not least, there is a developer program, and there is a certification program as well, where you obviously can get certified by Google on how good your knowledge is with Google Analytics. And there is a solution gallery that you can actually make use of, where you can actually build a certain integration using Google Analytics and show off your skills to the world. There are other tools as well that I can sort of comment on or can provide details about. If you have a question, I'm more than happy to share more details about other tools that you may have a question on. But talking about this tool set, this is just tool set, right? I mean, it doesn't really, tools doesn't really go anywhere from here and there. You have to look tools and the data into a perspective, and without the perspective, you can't sort of look at the tools or look at anything. So to get a perspective, I just want to share a quick note of, this is sort of the funnel. This is the basic funnel that looks like for a web behavior, where there is an acquisition, where there is an outside world from your website, where people talk about it, people mention you in Twitter and Facebook, people maybe complaining about certain services, maybe providing a great feedback, but this is all outside of your web. Engagement is where your website comes into picture, where you actually say, where you actually propose the value proposition of your business and showcase what you have to offer to the potential users. And the conversion happens in the form of either transaction, if your store is an e-commerce store, if your site is an e-commerce store, or it can happen in a form of a lead generation, where you can convert the potential website visitor into a lead who is interested into buying a service or buying a product from you. When you put this funnel in place, when you put your data into this sort of funnel, and when you look at the data points in a certain way, where most important data points that you have are the impression that happens across the globe, across the internet ecosystem, and then there are clicks that happen, which gets measured via Google Analytics, and then there are conversion that gets measured via Google Analytics. Now, what happens is that your impressions, the data of your impressions, gets tracked into a different set of tools, which could be Google AdWords, or which could be Display Network, CDN, or which could be your any other network provider which sort of sends more traffic to you. Whereas your click and conversion gets tracked into the Google Analytics. And this is probably the most fundamental issue with the tracking and the data collection that you may experience. Before sort of we move on from here, can we just launch a specific question that I have to learn more about the audience? Shri, if you can launch the next poll that I have, I want to understand the audience a little better here by launching the poll.
Sure, but before I go ahead with the poll, just wanted to inform you that your voice is still coming very faint. For some reason, I'm not too sure, but since you're calling in, connection shouldn't be a problem. But we are still actually facing a lot of difficulty in making out what exactly you're talking.
Oh, okay.
Are you calling from your cell phone or a landline?
Yep. Cell phone.
Cell phone. Perhaps if you have a landline handy, I would request you to dial in the toll-free number from that. For some reason, maybe wherever you are sitting, the connection is dropping. Whether it's your LAN connection or your data connection on your cell phone.
Yeah, maybe what I can do is I can try a headphone.
That's what we were trying, right? But there was quite a bit of lag in between, so I'm not sure. We can check again. But do you have a landline phone handy in the room wherever you're sitting?
Yeah, it could have. I just keep my mic. Is this better?
No, not really. It's kind of it's breaking up. Yeah.
It's breaking up, yeah?
Okay. Let me see. Maybe you speak for the next 2-3 minutes during the poll. Let me see how the quality, whether it gets better or worse. I'm launching the second poll. And at the end of the poll, then we can take a call whether you need to call from your landline or not.
Sure.
All right. So I'm launching the second poll question. The question is, what should you be more interested in doing with Google Analytics? So I'm launching it now.
So
Okay, the question is now on the screen.
Sure. The idea of this poll is to sort of understand the users or the current webinar attendees a little better to sort of gauge what people are really interested into doing with Google Analytics. Because there might be business analysts as a part of this conversation, or there might be developers who are part of the conversation, and both of them would have a separate perspective to Google Analytics.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I'm closing the poll now, and here is the result. 68% says analyze the data and generate insights, and 53% are saying track interesting piece of data of website visitors.
Sure. Right. So the idea here is that, 68% are saying that they want to make sense of the data. They want to generate insight out of the data. And that's what speaks for the audience, because the audience is really interested in accurate data which can generate the insight. And obviously a certain portion of audience is only interested into tracking innovative things like, okay, can I track how long does it take to load a jQuery if I do it via Google or Microsoft? Okay, Shri, is my voice better, or is it something still needs improvement?
It's actually little better, but yes, there is also, I can see some disturbance, but let's proceed with the presentation, and I'll probably interrupt you again if I see that the connection is going down or something.
Sure, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Great. So So the idea here is that when we look at our peers who are our managers or CEO, everybody eventually wants improvement in the conversion, right? They say that, okay, conversion padhao, conversion is the most important metric. That's what matters at the end of the day, and everybody is interested into that metric. But we who are actually doers, who are doing data analysis, understand that there are times when conversions are not always accurately tracked because there are different systems, different mechanisms of tracking that happen. And if you look at it from a perspective of different sources of traffic and different elements that you need to track, that becomes far more complex scenario to sort of tackle. If you are able to see the screen, there is TV ads and word of mouth, which sort of sends traffic to your website. There are a few other elements. Then there are social media. You have email marketing. You have display network. All of and adverts, of course. All of it eventually would send traffic to your website. Now, when it is sending traffic to your website, you would want to measure, how many people actually viewed blog posts, how many people, if you're an e-commerce store, how many people actually checked whether there is a discount code available or not, how many people actually viewed the video which was available on the website. And for the conversion, you would always want to track, how many lead forms were submitted, how many people checked out and bought something or bought a specific product. And so all these elements that you see on your website, you would obviously want to track. And when you want to track all these things, there are certain problems which happens when there are two systems spinning, right? Acquisition, your email provider would provide you a different data, your Twitter account would provide you a different social media statistics, and your Google Analytics would provide a different statistics as well. So most often what happens is people would come and tell us that, yeah, my AdWords clicks and analytics visits are not matching. And we would say, yeah, we understand. That's the general question that you have, because ideally, number of people clicking on the AdWords and the number of visits on your analytics data should be equal. But that's not actually the case, because they do measure using different mechanism, different technology altogether. There are times when your advertisers report would report more clicks than what you actually see in analytics, and this is obviously because there is an interaction between two systems: your systems which tracks your advertisement impressions and the system which tracks your visits on your website. When there are system interactions that are happening, most of the time you would see there is a problem in terms of data tracking that you would already experience. This is your outer world and this is your website. And when there is an interaction here that happens, that I'm actually showing via a line, this is where your most of problem would be likely to be available. And that can actually be solved by intelligent tagging of your campaign. I mean, be it a social media campaign, be it your Google AdWords campaign, be it a display network, email, or even some cases, some extra cases, you can even tag your TV ads or print ads as well. So I'm going to cover I'm actually going to cover on the campaign tagging a little bit at a brief level, and we can always talk about it as a use case. But if you know this funnel, if you as an analyst know this funnel, you would know that, okay, the problem lies somewhere here, and that's where you sort of address it. When you have a perspective of a funnel, you will be in a position to provide the same type of perspective to your teammates and your superior senior managers, which would tell you that this is how you should look at it. Let me move to the next slide. There are other problems that you have on your actually engagement part of your website, where you would say that, okay, how do I track the number of how much video is being seen on my website? How do I track the engagement on the website? And this is where the trick, this is where the analytics trick come into picture, where you can use Google Tag Manager to improvise your tracking mechanism, so to speak. And then when there are other questions like, okay, what are my different lead forms available on the site? How many people actually view the form versus they start filling up the form? Which form field they are sort of they are exiting, or they're not interested in filling up? All these questions can be answered by improved tagging mechanism that you can always use using Google Tag Manager. So I'm going to touch base a little bit on Google Tag Manager at a later stages as well. And importantly, from a funnel standpoint, if you can sort of identify some sort of connection between the lead integration into the CRM, because you have a CRM. If you're a lead generation website, you obviously can go from the information can flow from your website to your CRM. And if there is some connection that you can establish between the two systems, then you are bang on. You're making people happy. You're making your sales force happier. Believe me, we've done it, and the echo rods that we have received, the value that we have generated is immense, because if you can make your sales guys more effective, that's probably the best thing that you can always do to make your team lead shine, make your CEO shine. So looking at that, I'm going to share this 3 broad use case of the digital analytics funnel. I'm going to talk about campaign tagging a little bit, and we can always go into the details as well. We will talk about Google Tag Manager and will remain on the conceptual overview of Google Tag Manager. I would be happy actually to go into the details of Google Tag Manager and actually show off the code that is available, but I guess that's a sort of out of the scope for this webinar. And we'll talk about briefly on the concept of lead integration that you can always do, the last point that I mentioned, between your website and the CRM. That will significantly improve data connection between your CRM and the Google Analytics. With that in mind, so these are the 3 use cases that I'm going to share. But before we actually jump into the use case, Shri, does it make sense if we can sort of see if there are questions that may need to be answered right now, or maybe do you want to take it later?
Yeah, I can actually send you maybe 3 questions for the time being, and then we take the last poll, and then you conclude with the last segment, and finally we can have the final round of question and answer.
That sounds perfect.
Okay, so I'm going to start sending you questions now. You will be able to view them in your questions tab. Let me know once you start receiving them.
Yep, all flowing.
All right.
Okay. When you launch a poll, I'll just read up a question and find out the best question to answer. Okay. All right. So there's a very interesting question by Shomit Mitra, and he's asking about which field can you use to join web analytics data with offline data. It will be better if I actually show you off it will be covered during my presentation. So let me just not answer this question right now. It will be covered in the presentation. How easy are the developer programs? Google App Gallery for a non-programmer to use. Okay, it's by Swati. Swati, I think the developer programs are, I mean, nothing is easy in the world. Google App Gallery, Google Analytics App Gallery is a phenomenal way to show off some of the creations that you have done. And I think it puts you on a global scale, right? I mean, you have been able to build something which is available and which has been made to be used by entire team. Sometimes Google Analytics team also blogs about it, so that will give you an extra exposure. So I don't think it's like very, very difficult, but yeah, it's required some work. Okay, there's an interesting question. This is from Saket Bansal, and the question is, when I do analysis of organic search, majority of acquisition goes in the area where keywords are unknown. How can I know what was the keyword lead to a page? Okay, this is an unfortunate structure that recently Google has announced, where Google is not going to provide the keyword data. So if the search engine itself is not sending the keyword data, analytics cannot get the keywords which people used. So in principle, Saket, if I can just provide an answer, in principle this is nothing that you can actually control, or this is not even the Google Analytics that can control. It's more of a policy of Google that has stopped providing the keywords to any web analytics tool. But having said that, you always have a Google Webmaster Tool integration that you can always do with your Google Analytics data. When you carry out that integration, you can always generate the some sort of sense that, okay, these are the keywords and these are the landing pages, and you can get the impression clicks from your Webmaster, whereas on the landing page you can get the visits, so you can sort of compare and generally get a directional idea of which are potential keyword can drive more keywords to your website. But this is not going to be a super accurate estimate. It's going to be a very directional estimate. Okay. So Shri, if you are okay with the use case that I want to cover, and maybe we can take the rest of the question at a later stage.
Yeah, sounds fine. So you want me to share the last poll for the day?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Here it goes.
Yes, so the idea is to sort of understand some of the biggest problems that you can prioritize, and you can kind of pick one of them. Obviously accuracy sometimes is the biggest problem in some organizations, then sometimes actionability of data is a trouble. But since we have done this poll, maybe we can share results what it is looking like.
Okay, I think you can view the answers on screen.
No, unfortunately I can't. If you can just read it out.
Yeah, sure. So the answer that we got, 25% says data accuracy, 42% are saying unable to generate actionable insights, and around 41% saying don't know what to do.
Right, yeah. So there is a combination of direction issue as well, where people just don't understand or don't know what to do. And we have a Digital Analytics Academy. If you guys actually take some time off your busy schedule and use the Academy to improvise your knowledge, I am pretty sure that you will get a lot of actionable materials. Okay, so let me just quickly launch the first use case that I wanted to talk about, this is a simple campaign tagging that I'm sure you would have experienced this in past, but I just want to make sure that I explain the campaign tagging from a most fundamental perspective of the user. So let's say I have a website and it's www.adverts.com, and we I'm actually sending a link to you and see whether you're clicking on it, or we are doing some mass marketing where we are sending huge set of emails which has the link. In general, what you do is a very simple practice to add a certain set of query parameters, and those certain set of query parameters would be medium source, campaign, content, and term. And this is what the information that you put in. I mean, if it is email, then you insert email here. If it is a specific campaign, you insert the source and campaign and content, so on and so forth. However, the most important part is to learn about what values you would want to show in medium source, campaign, content, and term. If you are able to insert a right value into these parameters, you will be in a position to generate actionable insights. Let me show you an example where we were actually trying to track what was the outcome of the tweets that we are doing. The goal was to sort of check the tweets of the entire organization, who tweets within the organization, and which hashtags are working well, and which people are clicking on the links that we are sharing on tweets, and which was the day which appears to be the best when the tweets are getting clicks and share. And this is what we were trying to answer. Now, think about it. I didn't share what UTM parameters that we will have. I actually mentioned what we are trying to accomplish. So I actually told you what we are trying to get at rather than telling you the parameters value directly. So if you have the goal, if you have a clear-cut idea of what you want to track, that's a better starting point than to actually ask question, okay, what values do you want to put in your parameters, and then you get into details. So this is what we did. If you look at the presentation screen, where this is a part of the URL, and this is the part of the parameters. The green part is the parameter part, where if you look at UTM source, it's tweetdeck.rp. So this is the indicating name of a person. This is from the tool that is used to track or tool that is used to actually send out a tweet. And then there is a SM, there is a social media. Then we have hashtag. Which hashtag we used? We used e-commerce and we used Google Analytics. And when this tweet actually went live, this is 23 hours on Wednesday. So if you look at it, this information, when collected together, provides me exact answers to all the questions that I have set out on my goal. When I look at my goal, all I want to know is which hashtag works, which hour, which day. These are the three most important things. And in addition to it, we want to know whose tweets are getting maximum click-throughs as well. So this is what we sort of tagged, and let me show you what it looks like as a result. When you look into the Google Analytics and see, this is how the results would look like. That the medium was SM, or social media as we call it, and the content was, the ad content had hashtags, so we know that, okay, when we had a measure in Google Analytics as a content, it got us 206 visits. Out of it, 61% was new, so on and so forth. We also identified that when we had e-commerce measure as a hashtag, people were more interested in actually reading what we have. So this hashtag resonated well with the content that we had on the website. It never actually resonated with the developer or page speed, because it was never, this particular tweet was not about developer and page speed. So you can actually identify that, okay, when I have a content, this is the hashtag that is most likely to generate a better value for me. So the second part that I wanted to discuss is you can identify when, if you do a click, if you do a tweet is most likely to generate the output or the clicks for you. So when we actually did, we identified that if you do it on Tuesday or Wednesday, you are most likely to get the tweets back around these times. And we had actually scheduled all the tweets, so we knew this is the time. So this is the time in Indian Standard Time. But because we wanted to know when to do the tweets to get a best output, this is what we identified. So you can do the same thing to your social media marketing. You can do the same thing to the to your email marketing and identify best time to send email, best content you would place in the email, whatever other things that you may have a dilemma or a decision to be done. Let me quickly jump to some of the standards that you would want to follow for this, where the campaign tagging, you've got to be really consistent. So if it is TweetDeck, you always use TweetDeck and do not sort of abbreviate it TD. You also have to think long-term early, because your campaigns may change. Right now, it could be email campaign, but tomorrow it can be Pinterest campaign. And then that there, you are only sharing images. So there are a variety of mediums or variety of sources of traffic that you have. And if you don't think long-term or from a really generic perspective, your campaign tagging may fail. Or apart from that, very quick suggestions: always use lowercase, never use spaces or punctuation in the text. If you want to separate more information, like I did in the time and the day, use underscore as a separator. Do not use agency names in a campaign. Some of the times we've experienced people putting agency name. That's terribly wrong. It should never be done. And if you need more resources, this is the URL that you may want to save you for yourself, where more information is available, more tools are available for campaign tagging. I hope this was beneficial, but if you had a further question, please feel free to add your question specifics that you may have. Let me quickly jump to the second part. I know we are sort of running short on time, but I want to talk about this different areas of tagging where you obviously have a sort of idea. How do I tag? Let's say how many people view my video, or how do I tag? How do I know which form, how many people are starting to fill the form, and how many people are actually making errors in the form, or how many people are clicking on this radio button versus that radio button. All this requires you to do a tagging or adding a custom JavaScript to your web properties. It requires releases. But most often than not, whatever you do as a tagging, it generally just, remains there. It just never goes away from the website, eventually increasing the page load time. And the biggest fundamental problem is that if you want to do a custom tagging, you require to do releases of, the server release and IT guys and all these difficult things. And you have to write requirements, and and then you have to give it to the IT guys. Some will do a JavaScript thing, and will potentially be long cycles. When you have Google Tag Manager, the way implementation happens, it changes significantly. Where for every new tracking requirements, you would continue to add a JavaScript on your web pages. That's normal. That's a normal way people implement Google Analytics. But when you have a Google Tag Manager, what you do is you have a container and you have an interface where you can insert the JavaScript, and all these JavaScript remains together, and it always remains under the one name of gtm.js/your ID. But you don't require releases. So if you want to make a change in JavaScript 1, you can just make it in Google Tag Manager and push the publish. So when you publish it, it will start be available in the web pages of your site as well. So you don't have to depend on IT guys to generate releases and wait for 2 weeks to start collecting data. Google Tag Manager is a game changer. It has certain, it's like you want to track something, or analogy is you want to go from X to Y, and Google Tag Manager has different tags, which is like snippets of code which needs to be fired. Is similar to the number of leads. There is something called rules in Google Tag Manager, which is sort of a driver which decides where the tags need to be fired, and there is a macro which sort of navigates you, what values to be used. But it's a very simple way to implement Google Analytics and its customization. And I highly encourage everyone to use Google Tag Manager for your benefit, because that will reduce the amount of time that you have. That will reduce the amount of time to implement and start collecting data. Okay, so that's one quick advice. Let's talk about lead integration very quickly, because there was a question on lead integration, and I want to make sure I answer that. Okay, so this use case has a specific background that I want to talk. It's a lead gen B2B website. There are forms which drive the conversion, and the goal of the website is to generate leads via these forms and pass it on to the salesperson who would eventually close. It's like a typical insurance sales website. Now, if this is what you want to achieve, and if you want to achieve effectiveness in this, there is an internet ecosystem. People come to your site and they submit the lead, and the lead goes into the CRM. That's the most important part. Your lead goes into the CRM system. In principle, your data collection happens at a two different levels. This is your website, and this is a totally different system of your CRM. This is your siloed data, and this is your siloed data. This is separate, right? Now, fundamentally, what it looks like is this is your Google Analytics data and CRM data. It doesn't have any connection between the two data points that you have. When you strike a connection between these two databases, if you can construct it, then you have a very interesting insight. Let's look at an example. There's this form on your website. If you add additional JavaScript code to the form with a specific visitor ID, and that visitor ID will go to your form and eventually to your CRM. What it will do is it will, and you can identify all the information of that particular visitor ID, what pages that visitor ID has seen, what time he or she has spent on the website, or what he clicked on, what he did not click on, so on and so forth. When you send this visitor ID information into your CRM, you are essentially making your salesperson happier by having them additional data points of what pages this visitor ID has seen. Is this visitor ID coming second time, third time, or fifth time on the website, and how much intensive this visitor ID is looking to. This will help your sales team be far more efficient, and there is a very strong likelihood that they'll win more and more business, more and more contracts. And since we have done it very effectively, we know this really works, because eventually you will go towards a lead scoring mechanism, and it will improve your lead conversion rate as well. So this is just a conceptual overview of how you do it, but if you have a specific information that you would like to know more about it, I just send an email to Techgig, and I'll try and answer from there, Techgig itself. It's all fundamentally, it's about doing more and more interesting work in line with what Techgig does. So this is all I had from my side. Maybe we have a few more minutes if I can try and look at the question and answer if we were to do it. Shri, do you think we should probably try and?
Yeah, certainly. Certainly. We have around 6-7 minutes left, and I did assign a couple of more questions. So you can start answering them.
Yeah, okay. Right. It's funny in the webinar, it's nobody can actually speak. It's just a funny thing.
Yeah. You have no idea if
it's just two
we
of us speaking. Okay.
yeah, if we do enable their audio, you have no idea what this whole webinar is going to turn into. So
Yeah.
yeah, let's
It's safer, right?
yeah.
But
So we are just keeping it
it's
simple.
definitely safer.
Correct.
Makes sense. Okay, so a quick question from Vijay Kumar. He asked that, can the campaign be possible with a user-defined customized group in Google Analytics? Yes, the short answer is yes, it is possible to use user-defined custom variable to track campaigns depending upon your need. But I'll have to know specifics to really answer that question. This question is, I am not able to use keywords to see how many videos people have seen. I want to rank my blogs into search engine. This is by Naval Kishore Shukla. Maybe I honestly don't understand. So Naval, if you can specify the question a little more specifically, I'll be more than happy to answer this. Okay, let me take another question. Yeah, this is very interesting. Can we integrate more than one AdWords account with analytics account to fetch out analytics matrix in AdWords? Okay, so there are essentially two questions from Rupesh. So the first question is, can we integrate more than one AdWords account into analytics? The answer is yes, you can integrate more, and at least I've integrated 16 different AdWords accounts into one analytics account. And all of those AdWords accounts would start pumping or driving data into the analytics that you have integrated with. However, the other part of the question asks that, can you fetch out analytics data into AdWords? That's not possible because it's not a reversible system. But you can look at AdWords data and analytics data in Google Analytics. You cannot look at the analytics data in Google AdWords. I hope, Rupesh, I answered that question. Okay, let me try and answer one more. What is, will Google Analytics data for potential keyword sync with search term reports from Google AdWords? Okay, so will Google Analytics data, so the question is, will Google Analytics data for potential keywords sync with search term reports from Google AdWords? I don't think they will have a lot of sync because, like I said, these are two different systems. The way they track their own metrics are fundamentally different. So AdWords is more towards impression and clicks, whereas analytics is more about visits and conversion. When you want to get that data for one particular keyword, there is always likely that there is a mismatch in the data, and that's very much expectable. So I don't think you should expect a sync there. Okay, so the next question is how to track conversion using Google Tag Manager. Very interesting. So when you add a particular JavaScript in Google Analytics, specifically, you can ensure that a particular JavaScript only fires in Google Analytics. Now, if you understand Google Tag Manager, it's just a container or a combination of different JavaScripts that you have. It doesn't store any data. Google Tag Manager does not store any data. It just allows you to combine all your JavaScript and the customization, which will send data to Google Analytics. Now, given that is the case, the conversion destination can be done in Google Analytics, or you can define conversion in Google Tag Manager in your custom JavaScript as well. So you have two opportunities to sort of define conversion, whether it's in Tag Manager or Tag Manager custom JavaScript, or you can do it in Google Analytics as well, where you can set this particular action as a goal in a form of event or page views, so on and so forth. So that's one. There is one question that sort of catch my eyes, And I think that will be last. How to track conversion from different fill-up forms from different sections of the website. This question is from Rajnikant Kumar, and I'll just repeat the question again for the benefit of audience. How to track conversion from different fill-up forms from different sections of the website. The way you can do it is there is a custom JavaScript that you can always make use of where you can track each and every field of the form and fire a particular JavaScript call in a form of a virtual page view to understand that whether this field got used or not used. And when you sort of send this JavaScript and create a Google Analytics funnel, you will be able to understand the sort of high-level funnel for each and every forms that you have. Generally, forms have anywhere from 5 to 15 fields, and you can sort of ensure that on Blur or on Tab you can fire a JavaScript call. But if you still have a question, just post it on Techgig, and I'll be more than happy to provide certain blog posts and certain links that are available to track form fields. I guess, Shri, I think we are sort of running short of time, 2 minutes above the stipulated time limit. Do you have a suggestion?
We actually could wrap up the session because if you ask me, there are around good 10 odd questions which are still there unanswered. So as you said, the attendees can probably take those questions with you offline. They could post them on our discussion forum on techgig.com, or they could send it to us directly or to you. Either which ways you could take them up offline.
Yeah, let's do it on Techgig. I think that's a great community, and I think let's have all the questions available on Techgig, and I'll try to find a time over the weekend to answer all the questions.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Ravi, for giving this really wonderful presentation. This is such a topic. I'm pretty sure it was a value addition for all those who attended to today's session. And of course, we would love to have such similar sessions with you in near future. This is a request to all the attendees. Please visit techgig.com tomorrow afternoon to see today's recorded session available on the site. And as Ravi and we just mentioned, please feel free to come on techgig.com and post all your queries on the discussion forum. Ravi would be more than happy to take up those questions with each one of you offline. That would be all. Thank you so much for all your participation and making this webinar such a success today. We got a great turnaround, and Ravi, thank you so much once again for taking time out today.
All right. Pleasure is all mine. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
Have a good one. Bye-bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye, Ravi. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.